Welcome to Reach, your platform to connect with other executive assistants and acquire game-changing knowledge and perspective. Reach is designed to inspire your workday, guide you through pivotal moments in your career, and transform you into the executive assistant you've always wanted to be. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Reach. This is your host, Jessica Van. I'm the founder and CEO of Maven Recruiting Group, and I have a guest today that I'm super delighted to have with us, Monique Helstrom. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
So for those who don't know, Monique Helstrom is the former executive assistant, producer, and I love this, chief of, to the premier legendary thought leader on leadership, Simon Sinek. Many of you are already familiar with Simon's work. He has, of course, the very famous inaugural book that he wrote, which is Start With Why, which continues, and this just blows my mind, like 20 some odd years later, right? Or close to 20 years later, it continues to be such a highly referenced and vital tool in leadership. It continues to reverberate in boardrooms around the world, in meeting agendas, in how people think about and frame what they stand for and what their company stands for. Monique spent nearly a decade, as you would put it, I love this as well, being the how girl to the why guy, and helping behind the scenes to build and scale one of the most influential leadership brands in the world, giving her a front row seat to what leadership, communication, and partnership look like at the highest levels. So today, Monique is a sought-after keynote speaker herself. She is a coach who has turned her experience into practical, no-nonsense guidance for executive assistants and executives. You help EAs learn to lead up, to communicate clearly, and to really step into their roles with confidence and authority through a broad network of speaking engagements, coaching, and workshops and offerings that you provide, which you will also share more with us toward the end of the program. More recently, you've expanded your work into tutorials on how executive assistants can leverage AI to their benefit and really embrace AI as a superpower. And I think probably most importantly is really how to stay relevant in an era of AI and seeing AI not so much as a threat, but as a complement to the work that we do as assistants. So whether it's AI-enabled communication or not, communication and connection are really at the heart of your brand and about how you approach this work. And so we're going to be talking more about those things today and exploring those themes on the program. And of course, you've generously offered a discount to our Reach listeners, so make sure to stay tuned till the very end to hear details of that. But I am so excited to jump in. We have a lot to cover. So, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Caffeinated and ready? Let's go. All right. So, we're always interested in people's origin stories. So, I'd love to hear how you got your start as an assistant and how you ended up as Simon's chief of.
Yes. It feels like there's 1,000 things that happened in the middle, so it's hard to bring up all the milestones. But, when I was in college in DC, I responded to an ad in the school newspaper for an assistant for the Kansas City Convention and Visitor Bureau. And it was an amazing guy named Charlie Wilson. I still remember him. Goodness, I was in my first or second year of college. And I started as his assistant. And that went from me going to the broader Convention and Visitor Bureau industry. And I started there as a receptionist and worked my way up to executive assistant in the meetings and events department. Then went to become a sales assistant for a little while. Wasn't really into the sales side of it. I'll be honest with you. That wasn't totally my jam. But I was glad that I took the opportunity just to try because I would have never known. Mm-hmm. And then got sent out to California with that job. And from there, I actually left the industry for a hot minute and started my own organizing business, professional organizing. And so instead of organizing on a computer, I was organizing things and helping people move. and I actually was helping someone organize, and he was a friend of Simon's. And so Simon came over, and he wasn't even that popular. He just, Start With Why had just come out. I had no idea who he was. I'll be perfectly honest with you. And we were
Wow.
chatting and having a good talk, and we sort of stayed in touch. And I moved back to the East Coast at one point and let him know that I was moving back to the East Coast. And he hired me to move him because he was moving in New York. He was moving house up in New York. And so he hired me to move him, and I think it was the first day. I remember coming up there, and I was walking around his apartment. I had like a tape measure on my belt, clipboard. I had like colored pens. I had stickies like sticking off the
Sharpies.
side of it. I was an EA doing this for sure. And he was like, What are you?" And literally the first day that I went up there, by the end of the day, he offered me the job. So
Wow. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
And what was your first impression of him? Because, like you said, he was relatively unknown to you
Yeah.
and to the world, it sounds like.
Um, my first impression of him or my lasting
Yeah.
impression of him? It was
Both.
probably the same. He was a kind-hearted man. He's unbelievably smart, like
Hmm.
unbelievably smart. And
Yeah.
he's just goofy. He's just a good guy. He's
Yeah.
kind of a nerd. He's really a lovely
Yeah.
person. Yeah.
So you often describe yourself as the how girl to the why guy, as we mentioned in the intro. What did that actually mean in practice in terms of how you guys collaborated, how you worked together, and how do you estimate that your support really helped him scale his audience and scale his outreach and become the global phenomenon and success that he is?
Sure, sure. So I started likening this job a lot to an architect and a builder, whereas the executive is the architect and we as the administrators are the builders. We bring to life the ideas and visions that our executives have. Sometimes that's a product that's physical, sometimes it's not, sometimes, it's so many different industries, but regardless, we are building the environment in which success can happen and their dreams can come true, or the business's dreams can come true. And so it struck me a little bit, halfway through us working together. I was like, you're why we're doing this, and I'm how we do it. And he loved it, and I loved it, and it was true. For a lot of us, we hear an idea that is nothing. It's amorphous. It doesn't have
Hmm.
legs yet, and we make it real. We make it reality. We put it in now and time and make it happen.
Hmm.
And that how you get it done, how you make that success, how you build that product, how you create a movement. All of that is driven by what they're doing and how they're doing it, and we control that.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, I mean, when you started working with him, Start With Why had just come out. It was still sort of catching fire, right? And then there's this huge proliferation in terms of his demand for his, thought leadership, access to him, people wanting to book him. I mean, a gajillion things. So can you maybe give us an example like of something that, he came to you and he said, okay, Monique, like I want to do my second book or I want to go on a global tour or whatever. And how did you, as his how girl, how did you translate that? Like what were the steps that you took to, as you say, like anchor that and give it legs and feet and 10 toes down?
That's a big question.
It
The
is a big
first thing
question.
that's coming to mind is really Leaders Eat Last. That was the first book because that was his second book and the book that I was with him when he put out. So I really headed up the launch of the book from a perspective of the book launches and the organization and getting him on different podcasts and different news stations and all those sorts of things and getting him out there. Um, how did I do it? There's no course on how to do a book launch. I definitely looked for that, and especially like if you're in the of a author, do this. Of course, this is 15 years ago, so the internet wasn't quite as good as it is today.
No.
But I just I asked a lot of questions. I'll be honest. One of the
Hmm.
things that I think really helped in our relationship is I didn't I didn't let him get away with just giving me an idea and then I had to give it more legs. If he wanted something specific, I wanted to get that out of him. So constantly asking, well, what does success look like? What does the outcome look like? When you walk into the book launch, what do you want to feel? What do you want to see? What do you want to eat? Lay it on the line and I can bring that all to life. But I think I was very curious. I paid attention in all of the meetings. I tried not to distract myself. I wanted to soak up what the publisher had to say and what the publicist has to say and what, like, all the different things that I had never known and never heard of before. I think I just soaked it up and tried to do the best that I could.
Yeah, and clearly you did the best. I heard something in a clip of an interview that you guys did together, actually, and it was very lovely to hear you guys in practice, how you sort of feed off each other and your collaboration and just the mutual reverence and respect that was very evident. And one thing that he said, I thought this was pretty cool, was he said that when it came to the bonus pool and rewarding your performance, that he looked at the allocation of that bonus and looked at the two of you and said, well, there's no me without her, and that my success is inextricably tied to her contribution here, and decided to award you guys equal bonuses, which I thought was like pretty badass. Like,
Yeah.
Like that to me is leadership in action. And I know that he does a lot in terms of thought leadership and theoretical, but actually hearing some of that in terms of how he translated those concepts to his own business and his own relationship with you, I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I learned quite a bit. He was a great leader.
Yeah.
It was all for, and he said it constantly. This wasn't a news blip, he would say it directly to us, like to the team. This isn't about me, guys. This is us. We did really work as a team. All of us did.
Yeah. To me, that really exemplifies this whole thought or this whole concept of leaders eat last, right? And that you're here to support the people and to take care of and provide for the people that provide for you. And I think to like all of the gajillion examples of leaders that we have that don't do that. And how common, Monique, is it for us to read a headline like such and such CEO awarded, a bonus of $40 million while laying off 25% of their employees. And it's like, how do those two things fit, Yes. And I think that's the more common leadership practice that we see.
It is. Leadership has become hierarchical. It has become political. Leadership has nothing to do with the title that you have. That's why we confuse a lot of executives and principals with leaders when they're not. You have to lead in order to be a leader. So, it's power taken awry, and that will happen anywhere in any industry.
What other examples of leadership and how to lead did you glean from that experience?
I think one of my biggest takeaways that I talk about a lot, the biggest thing that I learned, which when you think about it is a huge lesson, is that mistakes are okay. I am a perfectionist. I'm a recovering
perfectionist.
Recovering alcoholic and perfectionist. And me wanting to be perfect at what I was doing was a big driver in my life for a really long time, for so many reasons. That's another therapy session. But, making a mistake was hard on me because my work was everything to me. I defined myself by my work. I pride myself in the job that I do. So mistakes used to crush me. And I think I even made a mistake and I hid it from him. And I didn't tell him about it and he figured it out. And so he had never been angry with me before. He had never given me critical feedback like that. And that's the time that I think he was most mad that I just didn't talk about it. And he was like, mistakes are okay. I remember him always saying, good fall, good fall, good fall. Get up again, good fall. Did you fix it? What are you going to do? Do you need my help? Good. He wasn't having it. So, my view on making a mistake or my view on doing something wrong is like not even 180. It's 1,000% different
Yeah.
than what it was like 10 years ago.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That's what I
Yeah.
get out of it. Just allowing people to make mistakes. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, what a beautiful thing to have helped in your evolution, if that's one of the pieces that you can take with you. I mean,
Huge.
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 Yeah.
And that's a lot what I've taken into this position now, being, the CEO or whatever it is that I am. I don't know. But this would have been a lot harder for me if I was still an uber perfectionist. It's been much harder. Because this is another unknown concept. Leadership, like being an EA
100%.
business, you're like, I don't know, today's different than yesterday. And that's
Yeah.
new. So thank God.
Well, and I mean, once again, you're operating without a playbook whatsoever. And by default, when there's no playbook, there's no protocol, right? And you are winging it and figuring it out. And I think it's interesting too, because you've gone on record, numerous times saying things like, I always saw myself as more of a behind the scenes person. I knew that that's what my role was. And I think it's really interesting because today, that's not what your role is. Today, you're the front and center person. And I have to assume that that trajectory and that evolution was largely helped or informed by some of the things that you learned and did while working for Simon.
Oh, 1,000%. I don't think I would be where I was today if I didn't have that education.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is hard. This is a hard. Both of them are incredibly hard jobs, and
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. The me loving to be behind the scenes came off pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
I wasn't behind the scenes, I was like, oh, this is fun.
It's nice to have an excuse to get dressed up every once in a while.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your coaching work. So a lot of your work focuses on communication for both the executive and the EAs and really nailing that communication piece. So I guess let's start with that. I mean, why is nailing communication such an important piece? And where do you most often see communication breakdowns happen?
Yeah. Okay. So communication is of the utmost important in our work because this is the mechanism by which we can do our jobs. We're not coders where we're taking real information and just transferring it into something else. The flow of information is how our jobs work. There is no other way for an EA to perform without getting data transfer, in and out. I need, I don't need, do this, do that. And all that happens through communication, whether it's verbal, whether it's online, whatever that may be. And our lack of training in this topic is insane. We were never taught how to do this in elementary school, which is where we really should have been taught how to communicate and how to have a disagreement and how to take criticism and all those sorts of things. So, when the communication works, everything works. That's just how it goes. When the communication is good in a friendship, in a relationship, in a partnership, in a working colleague, when the communication works, everything else works, or everything else is just easy. Because even if you run into hard things, you talk it out. So it really is the mechanism by which we do our job. I think, the irony is where I'm seeing the biggest issue is in the lack thereof. Still to this day, there are still executives who are canceling their one-on-ones with their EAs constantly. And then they're having issues with it. Like I'm hearing all the time from the EAs, well, he asked for this thing. I sent it to him by email. I printed it out and I put it on his desk and I did this, I did that, I did this, and then they're not getting any answers. They're not getting any response. They get no confirmation that they did a good job or anything. They can't even ask a question. And then I hear the executive say, like, I don't know, this just isn't working out. She's not doing what I told her.
Throwing up their hands. It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. I just can't find someone who's good enough to read my
Get me somebody else. Get me somebody else. Yeah.
You need a psychic. What you're looking for is someone to read your mind. Otherwise, the words have to come out of this thing in your face. You have to talk to them. And it really, I mean, you could tell I'm already getting a little excited over this. The amount of times I hear this, I'm doing recruiting as well, as you know, and you know.
Yes.
You talk to the executive and you just want to be like, really, dude? Really? What? You don't want to meet with them, but you want them to be your right-hand person. These two things don't work together.
They don't go together. Yeah.
So,
we hear, and I'm sure you hear this too, but we hear a lot of, oh, well, I like to do asynchronous syncs with my EA. I mean, okay, like certain things are fine for asynchronous communication, but when we're talking about alignment, when we're talking about we need to get on the same page, we need to plow through these 25 things, that's not an asynchronous interaction. No. That's a face-to-face or whatever interaction. And I mean, I think you guys had a couple of rules too about how you communicated. And I think if I'm not mistaken, like you guys had certain rules that I think it was you who said emails were for action items and agenda stuff. They were not for communication.
Nope.
And I thought that was a very powerful, like when you said that, I thought that was a very powerful statement.
Nope. Email is who, what, when, where, why, in my estimation, or it's a follow-up to a conversation that I already had. It's a helper to our communication. It is not a replacement of our communication. If you think you're going to have a conversation with someone and that's going to equal something that you would email them, it's not. Mm-hmm. It's not. Someone is going to get more context, more information, more body language, more tone, more understanding, the ability to ask more questions when this comes out verbally. So our email was who, what, when, where, why. If we weren't together and we did have something that was more detailed, we sent each other voice memos. Mm-hmm. I wanted him to give me voice memos. I said, don't text me. I'd rather hear your tone. Right. I'd rather hear the inflection. I'd rather hear, are you really tired? Because if so, I'm going to move your car up an hour so you can leave dinner a little earlier. You know, I want to hear this. So not a replacement for communication.
Yeah, not at all. So what are some simple lessons that EAs and executives listening can implement immediately to help improve communication?
Sure. Ironically, my first one is regular meetings. If not once a week, twice a week, and that is a non-negotiable. I don't care what's going on. I don't care what's happening. I don't care if the tide is high or the tide is low at that time. Non-negotiable. Even if you don't have a million agenda items to go over, keep that time, sit together and ask each other either personal questions or have the EA be able to go, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about that relationship with that vendor? Can you say more about that email that went out from the CEO the other day? Can you tell me about how you're feeling about that? This is where we can kind of dig into that information for the strategic part of our job. So if you're an executive listening, stop canceling these. Period. End of sentence. I don't even know how to tell you any better. Stop canceling these meetings. They are just as important as your meeting with your CFO. They are as important as your meeting with your VP. They are.
Yeah.
And if you're the EA, my recommendation to you is stop accepting that. Just stop accepting that. Hey, I need to move your meeting again. You know what? I'm really sorry. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, but I need to talk to you about this, these, and these. I need to talk to you in the next 2 days. So if I can't do it tomorrow 2, then I'm moving it to 11.
Well, and here's, and I love that, Monique. And I would also add that beyond the meeting with the CFO and the VP that you mentioned, right? I would argue that the meeting with the EA is actually more important because the meeting with the EA, your work and the EA's work are inextricably linked and tied. The CFO, they presumably have their own org, they have their own direct reports, they have their own captains, they have their own kind of discrete workflow, right? That's their thing. But the EA is literally, it's a symbiotic relationship. And so
Yeah.
if you cut off the symbiosis, how is that supposed to flourish? It just does, it makes it, it's like, maiming yourself. It's like, why would you do that? You're undermining your own success when you do that. And I also, I'm sure you agree with me on this, like, it's just disheartening that people, for whatever reason, just don't necessarily hold and revere the assistant role as highly as they should. And a lot of our effort has been to champion that, because it is so vital.
Absolutely. And my thing that I keep trying to get EAs and administrative professionals to understand is there's only so much we're going to be able to change other people, which is none. We can't change other people. The only thing we can do is change our behavior. So trust me, we will stop getting treated like slaves when we stop acting like slaves to our executives. Like it's
Right.
just when we stop accepting the no meetings, when we stop accepting crappy data and we're supposed to do something with it and then we get yelled at for a mistake, when we have to stop accepting this stuff. It's not gonna, it doesn't work. It's just
Yeah.
BS. It doesn't work.
Yeah. Great.
I'll give you one other cool tip that I talk about, and it's really
Of course
easy.
I want cool tips.
And it's a communication tip, and it's one of my favorites. Speak in the positive language. Speak in the positive tense. Use positive language, and because our brains can understand positive language 30% faster than negative language. It takes us 30% more time to process a negative, and oftentimes our brain has to turn something negative into a positive just to understand it. So this happens a lot when you are told to think of something, like don't think of an elephant. Your brain has to think of an elephant to not
Right.
think of an elephant. So our
Right.
brains are doing this consistently, and oftentimes that negative has to change into a positive just for our brains to register it. So if you want
So give
people,
me an example.
instead of don't be late, I need you to be home at 7. It's instead of don't, not, no, can't, won't, shouldn't, use ing. Here's where we're going. So, we have this big board meeting next week and we're really excited about making it the best version of itself and really having the best time. So here's what we really need to get done today. As opposed to, hey, the board meeting's next week. We're way behind. We don't have anything ready. We have to sit down. That's causing fear, energy. So speaking in the positive will help you be understood faster.
Great. That's a great one. And that you can definitely implement immediately.
Immediately.
Immediately. So speaking of communication,
Yeah.
one of the latest tools to enter the EA arsenal is the wave of all of these AI offerings, right, that have entered the market, and they're promising things like easier, faster, more effective communication. When you think about AI, not just as an efficiency tool, but really as like a leverage point, right, to improve the ways that executive assistants communicate, what are your general thoughts and reactions around that, around AI as a leveraging tool to improve effective communication?
Sure. I think like every tool, when used effectively, it can be the most helpful thing. It can be used as our assistance. It can be used as our support when used appropriately. I love AI. I love the wave that's coming in. Again, I think it's dangerous, but that's way beyond my pay grade of the danger area. Me using it for some emails, I think is fairly harmless, but it absolutely can be used to help us do things faster with more clarity, less mistakes, easier ways to process information. Our skill set has been just that, taking large amounts of information and dialing it down to something digestible that can go out into an email, taking 15 different PowerPoint slides that 15 different executives made and putting it into one. Those parts of our job, while important, we can be using our brains for other things during those times. If it's something that's a little bit of a more like putting your PowerPoints together, you can spend all day doing that, or you can have AI help you to get a little bit further down the line, a little bit further, a better first draft, so that you can spend more time strategic thinking, relationship building, building trust with your people around you, community awareness, whatever it might be, professional development for yourself. I think we can leverage this a lot. It can do a lot of the repetitive tasks. It can do a lot of the processing tasks. Even just if you use one tool like Copilot or ChatGPT or something like that, even just one simple tool can change the way that we can process information and get things done. So we have, again, more time. I don't want our EAs to spend that time that they're saving when they're using AI just to do more low-level tasks. Like that time you're saving, I just don't want you to do more. I want you to use that time for you, grow, learn, develop, enhance your skills, learn more about the company, volunteer for that project you wanted to do.
Right.
So I love it if it's used well.
And so specifically though, in terms of like framing, right, and messaging, I mean, do you recommend AI for example, hey AI, platform of your choice, I have to have a tough conversation with XYZ person and I want to approach it from a conciliatory tone, or I want to approach it from a I don't know, whatever, like more authoritative tone, or I mean, do you recommend things like that? And do you take those types of topics to AI?
I do. I mean, I teach this stuff and I still go to AI to help me figure out ways to speak. Again, there's always a human in the loop. I would never encourage someone to say, how can I have this difficult conversation and then read it word for word? Probably not going to be yours. However, absolutely. The thing with communication, as I mentioned earlier, is we're never taught how to do it. So our education on this, our history in our brains is very limited on the actual education of how to say something appropriately. So using ChatGPT or whatever it might be to say, I'm about to have a difficult conversation, I need to tell someone this. If nothing else, it gives you ideas. It gives you some breathing room to lower your anxiety about the conversation. You have at least a foundation or a platform to work off of, even if you don't even use those exact words. Even if you just kind of go, oh, I get it. What they're trying to tell me to do is talk about how I feel first, then the problem after, or whatever it might be. So using it for the unknown, for the parts of communication that are scary, yes. Don't over rely. Use it to learn how to do it so that you can do it better later. But yeah, I think it's great for communication skills, especially the harder ones. It's intimidating.
Yeah.
It's intimidating to communicate publicly. It's intimidating to speak up in a meeting. It's intimidating to walk into a review. So, having that little foundational piece before you go in there, I think it helps that anxiety level.
Yeah. So what do you see as the risks for EAs who don't get on board with this?
Yes. Is AI going to take our work? Are we going to be replaced? No. AI will never take our work. But I'm going to drop a little bit of a truth bomb here. The assistants who are using AI will take over your job. It's not going away. It's not going anywhere. The ones that are pretending this isn't happening and not using it, it's going to be hard to find new employment in the future. Every company is moving towards an AI platform. The cat is out of the bag. We can't go back. We're not going to go back to using rotary phones now either.
All right.
It is what it is. Get on board.
Get on board. Yeah, we hosted a luncheon last week in the Bay Area for leaders in the venture capital space, and it was a conversation around recruiting, onboarding, retention, things like that. But AI found its way into the conversation, as it tends to do. And I said, just curious, like by show of hands, everyone at this table, which of your firms are encouraging AI? Which of your firms use AI? Every single hand went up, and they were like, yeah, I mean, if you're not, that's like...
You're behind.
you're behind. It's just not done.
I haven't placed in all of my recruits that I've had since last summer, all of them have required someone to have some competency with AI. You don't need to be an expert, but I need you to know what Copilot means, what ChatGPT can be used for, why to use Perplexity. They want
Mm-hmm.
to know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when we were getting my first BlackBerry, I was like, oh my God, I gotta carry my emails around with me. Carry all this around me. I mean, and now it's so funny to look back and be like, so that's what's going to happen. And even a year from now, we're going to look back and go, AI is even more permanent, more
Mm-hmm.
processed, more out there than it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. So we kind of touched on this, but to dig a little bit deeper. So, I mean, what do you think what are applications where you've seen AI be just a really elegant and great amplifier and extension? And where do you think, at least AI in its current form, where do you think are instances that demonstrate its limitations or, challenges with the tool?
One place that I've seen it work well for us, for our audience, is in that expression of who we are in writing resumes for when assistants are writing their own resumes. It's very, I hear all the time, I hate talking about myself. I don't know how to express what I've done. I don't know how to, I don't want to brag. I don't want to do this. And, we need to. We have to, if you're writing a resume, that is the spot that you brag. That is the biggest spot that you need to brag. I need you to brag. Don't be humble on your resume because I'm not going to read between the lines. So in ways of us EAs expressing ourselves, I think it's been phenomenal. Back long ago, I used to read the thesaurus. When I first started with Simon, actually, no, it was my job before that, I want to say. I would read the thesaurus because I was tired of saying I'm organized. I love working. I manage calendar. I built this process. I was sick of it. So I went in and looked up organized and found 15 different words that I was like, okay, I want to use this and this and this. So I see that now, and I'm even using it this way. I need to tell someone that I am this. What's a really unique way of saying that rather than, I work a lot. I'm a workaholic. What's a different way of saying that? So use it to express yourself if you're not sure how to do that. It is up to us to talk about the things we're good at. Limitations, as with anything, it's only as good as the information you feed it. And so I think, I don't know if this is a limitation really, but I think people put in one thing and get one thing back and go, oh, it's not working. It's not giving me the thing that I want. It's not writing it how I want it to write it. And that's really a limitation, I would say, on our side. We're not giving it enough information for it to give us what we want back. I mean, look, it's never going to be human. I mean, just really to make it basic, it's not going to be human. And we don't want it to be. And stop treating it like it needs to be and start using it for what it is. It's something to augment humans.
Yeah. Well, and I think you said that earlier. You said that there should always be a human in the loop, right? And so I think that it would be interesting to kind of see some examples of that in practice, and that's probably, I imagine, some of what you go into in your the AI empowered assistant program. We can talk more about that, but there's certain context that you can query and prompt in the most effective ways possible, but there's certain context that is always inherently going to be lacking. Why? Because, like you said, it's not a human. There's not a human in the loop. So like, let's go back to your days of Simon, right? Like you might have said, okay, great. Like, how do I approach Simon with this idea? And you can query all you want, but the human in the loop, in this case yourself, would have said, oh yeah, but I know that Simon responds best when, it's in the morning and he's freshest and he's not coming off of a heinous travel schedule, and I know he's coming off of that, so let me actually approach it in this way, right? Like that's what I mean about the
100%.
humanness. And I think like what you were saying earlier, use the efficiencies, use the gains to build the relationship, to think about that individual, to work on, the intensity and the connection, because that's the differentiator in this. And nobody can teach you how to understand somebody. Nobody can teach you how to read somebody. Nobody can teach you how to absorb and process and be intuitive and intuit, right? So I think that's like the human in the loop stuff.
Constantly. You cannot use this stuff without the human in the loop. Maybe other people can for other positions, but as what we do, our job is inherently human.
Yep.
Our job is not to email people as much as it seems like it is. That is not our job. Our job is very inherently human, helping humans, supporting humans to succeed, supporting businesses to succeed.
Yeah.
So,
and I like that point, and I like that about your course, because it's not just AI for the workforce, it's AI for the executive assistant workforce. And there is a nuance there. There's a difference, right, in the way that it's applied specifically to what we as executive assistants do.
oh yeah, 100%. Did you want me to go into that?
Yeah. I think that's a good, that's as good of a lead up as you're going to get, Monique.
I built this because I was hearing so much about it. I was hearing, I'm scared of this. I'm hearing, I don't know how to use it. I was hearing the course that I took was too difficult and too, the vocabulary that they used was it was way above my understanding, or it was way too basic, or this one was way too theory. We didn't have anything for us. And I thought, my philosophy is, if we can get out ahead of this, if executive assistants can be the one to wrangle this tiger, so to speak, and put it on a leash and walk it with us everywhere we go, like, how indispensable are we now? If we're controlling this, it's not AI controlling us. If we're there with a joystick controlling the AI, we're the ones in the office that people are going to come to and go, how do you do this? We're going to be the ones that are more efficient in our processes. We're going to be the ones that they're going to say, hey, can you come train my team on how you did XYZ? That's being indispensable. So I wanted us to have the tips and tricks and tools that were for us, specifically for us. So I made modules. There's 13 modules in the course, or 12 modules, excuse me, in the course. And it's real life applicable tools. So one of them is about talking to AI like a thought partner. How do you use AI as someone who can help you think more strategically, think more higher level? One's about writing emails and writing recaps and writing memos, that sort of thing. Presentation, slides, agendas, that's another one. Event planning is another one. Having tough talks is another one. Projects and processes and people. So it's all of the different big
elements
that we're working in. And there's 68 prompting tools that come with it. You get a whole workbook that comes with it as well. So, it's not going to be theoretical. It's going to be, hey, you're having an offsite in 3 weeks. Here's 3 ways that you can do that.
Great.
So I'm super proud of it. I love it.
Congratulations. Like, that is such an accomplishment and so timely. And I like the way hearing you talk about your thought process around how you broke down the material, and really like thinking about, because EA roles, it's like this, right? It's a myriad of things. There's so many buckets. There's so many different lanes that you are responsible for and accountable for. And so then thinking about ways to amplify your effectiveness in each of those lanes while leveraging AI. And I would assume you also talk about, okay, this particular tool is particularly useful for this type of application or for this type of scenario or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Huge.
Yeah, it's
Congratulations.
Centers a lot on GPT just because that's universal, but all of this is applicable in Claude and Copilot and Gemini and whatnot. So
Yeah.
it's all really applicable. But yeah, it's built for us by me.
Yeah.
I had a friend, an AI friend of mine who did the technical stuff on the back end, but
Yeah.
it's just for us. I mean, I don't think it wouldn't work for other professions.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm assuming it's like a self-paced online. Yeah.
Yep. Again, the
Great.
12 videos, and they're really well broken out. So if again, if preparing slides or documents or long form content isn't something that you need to do, skip the video. Go to the
Yeah.
next one. You don't
Right.
need to participate. There's a deep dive in the end about how AI evolved if you want to learn more about the evolution
Right.
of this tool.
Right.
But again, if you really want to come in there and just have the practical tips,
Yeah.
it comes with a workbook too.
Great. Very good. So I'm curious. This is more just, a curiosity.
Okay.
I assume you and Simon still keep in touch and are in each other's lives in some form, in
Yeah.
some way. So I'm curious because, he's so much, his work, his focus is so much around human-centered leadership and, optimizing for interpersonal connection, communication, inspiration, the why, all of that, right? And I'm wondering, how do you think he feels about the collective moving in this direction? And I'm also, I guess, second part to the question would be if you were still supporting him today,
Yeah.
do you think that you guys would be embracing AI in your workflow?
Yeah. Oh, he was always an early adopter. He loved gadgets and tools and software and things. And yeah, AI came really out after I left the organization. So I didn't get the opportunity to use this amazing tool when I
Yeah.
was working 70-hour weeks. So I'm
Yeah.
so mad about that. But I'm sure they're embracing it now. I can't imagine that he wouldn't. He's an early adopter. And I'm sure he's saying the same thing that I am. This is human. This is a human world we live in. And there is no technology that is going to replace human interaction. There never will be, and it shouldn't. We will die off as a species if we don't keep our social nature up of being around other humans. So again, it's a tool for what it is. It's a tool like a phone. It's a tool like my glasses. You use these for a specific purpose, and then you take
Yep.
them off when you're done.
Yeah.
That's what it should be used at. I'm sure he's using it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you gave us some strategies earlier today about what are a couple of things we can do immediately to improve communication. So I'm going to ask the same question, but asking what are some things we can do immediately this week, next week, to help to implement AI in a way that would be effective and helpful.
Okay. I think the biggest fear for a lot of us is that we're going to do something wrong. Again, we don't like to do things wrong. We want to do it right. You cannot break AI. You cannot hit a wrong button. If you're in ChatGPT, the only wrong you can do is giving it bad information or lack of information. But honestly, get in there and just do something, anything. I don't care what it is. You need to ask everyone what lunch order they need for next week's board meeting. I mean, it's so little and innocuous. And of course, you could go on to email and do it yourself, but why not try? Go into some form of AI and say, I'm about to write an email. It's for the board meeting and we need to know what kind of lunches they have. I want this to be professional. I want to use very high-end vernacular and vocabulary, but I want it to be under 300 words, blah, 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 and have it pop out. Just so you can get an idea of what it can do and how you can use it, and then do it a little bit more, But start, above the waterline. And easy things that even if it gave you crap information, you know how to do it anyway, and you can redo it yourself. So just start.
In addition to your AI-powered assistant course, you have some other offerings that are timely. So we're recording this in early April of 2026. So you have a couple of offerings that are coming up in the near term. Can you share what some of those look like?
Sure. So let's see when this will come out. So one thing I'm doing in the month of April for my AI course, actually, if you buy the AI course, my AI powered assistant, you get Introduction to Effective Communication, my communication course, for free. So you can learn how to speak verbally, and then you can learn how to speak AI, both in the same package. So it's a buy one, get one. I'm also doing an April coaching offer. If you purchase a coaching package with me in April, you'll get one bonus session, one additional session on the package, which I think is pretty cool. We get a lot done in those sessions. And then I'm, for your audience specifically, I'm going to, if you use the code REACH podcast, and you'll see all of this in the show notes, with the code REACH podcast, you can buy my AI course for $100 off. So you get
Woo!
off the price.
100 bones. I love that. You can take the AI course and then go out for dinner to celebrate.
And go out for dinner. Yes.
With the savings. That's great.
Oh, yeah. And I'm doing some LinkedIn Lives, so definitely follow me on LinkedIn to see when my LinkedIn Lives are. So check that out as well.
Great. I love that. Thank you for those opportunities. Final question for you, Monique. So if there was a person you could support, anyone throughout the course of history or time, who would you choose to support and why?
This was hard. This was very hard. And I came up with an answer that I would have never thought I would have said. And I don't even know why. But I came up with Jane Fonda. I want to say she, one of the things that I loved about being an EA, and I hear this all the time, is that the dynamic work that we have. Work changes a lot. Every day is a little different. And she went through so many iterations of her career between acting and the political activism and the workout videos. And she transformed herself so many times over the years and just did bigger and better and bigger and better. She was someone who had the ability to become a bigger figure and do better things with it every time, and become bigger and do something better with it. And now, what she's doing in politics is it's incredible. So I want to support her. She's a powerful woman who isn't afraid to be a powerful woman. And we need more things.
And never seems to have lost her drive, at all. Yeah, which is wild.
She's still
Yeah.
on the campaign trail. It's amazing.
Yeah. And she looks good.
And she looks damn good. It's annoying. But yeah, and maybe we'd work out all the time together too.
Right.
So
That's great. Love that. Let's go. Great. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much, Monique. You are a lot of fun, informative and fun. I appreciate that.
Thank you so
And
much.
I really appreciate, all of the offerings that you're creating, all of this enrichment. I think these communities that we serve, the EA community, is just historically very under-resourced. And I think that, you creating these very accessible, relevant, timely, but also engaging content is so needed. So thank you for that. And I'm excited that we could, share more of them today. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It was really great to chat with you and chat with your audience.
Reach is brought to you by Maven Recruiting Group, who specializes in placing executive assistants and support staff to the Bay Area's most prominent executives and companies. If you've enjoyed being part of our podcast community and are interested in becoming part of our candidate community, we're currently hiring for roles in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, and Los Angeles. You can visit us at www.mavenrec.com to see some of the roles we're currently working on and to submit your resume.